everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mademoiselle Lena, and you can find me online at www.conjureknits.com. Today is Wednesday, May the 12th, 2021, and we are here for our virtual book club. We are currently reading Enchantment of the Faerie Realm by Ted Andrews. And this week, I believe we're going to be reading about finding the flower fairies. If you're brand new to joining us, you can go over to YouTube and there will be a playlist that says Virtual Book Club, and you can get caught up from there. Tanya is not here today. She had other obligations to take care of. It is only me. She was kind enough, or is kind enough, should I say, to allow me to go live on her page for this book club. All right, I hope you all enjoy, and without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. By the way, how are you guys doing? Y'all can drop lots of comments below. That would be wonderful. If you are watching on YouTube, this is a brand new YouTube channel, so if you'll go ahead and click on subscribe, that would be amazing. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. We are on Chapter 8, Finding the Flower Fairies.
8. Finding the Flower Fairies. In the midst of the garden grew a rose bush, which was quite covered with roses, and in one of them, the most beautiful of all, there dwelt an elf. He was so tiny that no human eye could see him. Behind every leaf in the rose he had a bedroom. He was as well formed and as beautiful as any child could be, and he had wings that reached from his shoulders to his feet. Oh, what a fragrance there was in his rooms, and how clear and bright were the walls. They were made of the pale pink rose leaves. The whole day he rejoiced in the warm sunshine, flew from flower to flower, danced on the wings of the flying butterfly, and measured how many steps he would have to take to pass along all the roads and crossroads that are marked out on a single hidden leaf. What we call veins on the leaf were to him high roads and crossroads. Flower fairies and elves are some of the most delicate and beautiful of the fairy realm. They are as myriad as the flowers themselves, and they serve many functions in regard to the flowers. There are fairies that help the flowers emit their fragrances. There are fairies that assist in making them grow. There are flower elves and gnomes who work to create the color of the flowers. And there are field fairies and elves who watch over the entire area in which they grow. For every single flower, there is one particular fairy who embodies the spirit and essence of the flower itself. This fairy or elf often oversees the activities of the others working with and around that particular flower. Learning to connect with this fairy is the key to unlocking all of the energies of the flower and opening perception to all of the others working around it. Flowers have always been great sources of inspiration and energy. All aspects of flowers have been used by healers, metaphysicians, and poets. Many flowers have been associated with gods and goddesses, and are often endowed with mystical qualities. Flowers in any form are sources of strong energy vibrations. Even dried flowers continue to be such. It is only decayed and decaying flowers that do not. In the case of decayed and decaying flowers, the elementals work for the breakdown of the flower to return it to its natural element. All of the energy of the elementals and the flower fairies in such cases are drawn inward to facilitate this breakdown. Thus, the energy of the flowers in such states has an inverse energy effect. Instead of giving off energy, they draw it away. Because of this, it is not beneficial to have decaying flowers indoors or in close proximity to you, as the elementals may draw on your energy to assist the breakdown of the flowers. You may feel energy drains and tiredness as a result, Flowers in the house that are decaying should be removed to an outdoor location, compost area, etc. Wildflowers that are dying are usually no problem, as the elementals draw from the natural environment to assist the breakdown, and so you will feel little or no effects. Modern spiritualists are very familiar with the energy aspects of flowers and flower fairies. They take care to set flowers in the seance room, or any room in which spiritual activities are going to occur. The fragrance, color, and activity of the flower fairies raise the energy vibrations of the individuals and the environment. It is important to note that picking a flower does not stop the activities of the flower fairies and elementals. Part of the reason a rosebud will bloom, even after it is picked, is because of the continued work of the flower fairies. As the flower dies, however, so will the primary spirit of the flower, along with some of the other fairies associated with that flower. Some may move on to other flowers in that environment and work to assist them to grow. The elementals, though, remain to assist in the breakdown of the flower and its return to its natural elements. In the case of perennials, the flower fairies withdraw and help protect the plant through its dormant stages, until it is time to sprout and blossom again. There are many who find this very sad, but we must keep in mind that those of the fairy realm have a much better view of the life and death process than humans. They see it as a creative process, filled with joy on all levels. To the flower fairies and others of this realm who have short lifespans, the time they have is wonderfully bright, warm, and beautiful. While we may have thousands of days, they have thousands of moments in which they rejoice in their life. They also know that beauty will not cease when they die. To them, every moment of their life is long and beautiful, full of joy and sweet feeling. Flower fairies speak to us often. Most of the time, we don't pay any attention. Have you ever been for a walk and caught the soft fragrance of a flower? The fairies have greeted you. Have you ever commented on the beautiful color of a particular flower? The fairies have caught your attention. Is there a particular flower that is your favorite? Its flower fairies have something special to share with you. Every time you inhale the sweet fragrance of a flower or comment upon its color, you acknowledge the flower fairies. Every flower fairy and elf is a wonderfully unique creation. Each has its own energy, its own appearance, and often its own personality. Each flower, and thus each flower fairy, can teach us something different. Every flower and fairy will interact with us in their own unique way. Every flower fairy has its own wisdom that they will joyfully share with us if we are open. It's not difficult to attune to the flower fairies. Begin by learning as much about flowers as possible. How and where do they grow? Learn about their growing processes and all of their parts: roots, bulbs, stems, leaves, blossoms, etc. Every aspect of the flower means something and is tied to some fairy activity. Buy bouquets of flowers on a regular basis. Paint and draw pictures of them. Plant them in your yard, house, or garden. Have an area of your yard in which you allow wildflowers to grow freely. Make an amulet that has a picture of your favorite flower on one side and a picture of the fairy on the other. Use the meditation at the end of this chapter on a regular basis. It will increase your connection to the flower fairies immensely. By aligning yourself with the flower fairies and elves, you align yourself with one of the most creative expressions of Mother Nature herself. You open yourself to creation, joy, growth, and sustenance. It is these qualities of Mother Nature that are symbolized by all flowers and epitomized by the flower fairies and elves. The following list of flowers contains information about the fairies and elves associated with them. It also includes the wisdom and energy they can easily impart to us if we learn to work with them. Remember that each flower and its fairies are unique to themselves, but certain groups of flowers and their fairies embody specific characteristics. The information given is what I have uncovered from my explorations and research into the flowers themselves, and my meditations with their flower fairies. If you have always been drawn to specific flowers, examine them first. The descriptions may provide insight into why you have been drawn to them. You will learn how the fairies work through them. Do not limit yourself to my descriptions. Use the meditation at the end of this chapter to open to the flower fairies yourself. That is the joy of discovery. Flowers and their fairies. Remember that most flower fairies will reveal themselves in the colors of the flower itself. The flowers I have chosen to use in this section are ones that are most commonly found and are the most accessible. Many healing energies, properties, and symbolic significances of flowers are the result of fairy activity. Exploring those aspects of any flower will provide insight into the character of the fairies associated with them. As you learn to attune to one flower fairy, you will find it easier to attune to them all. Angelica. The flower fairies of Angelica are very beautiful. The plant is from the wild carrot family, and though many see it as not that beautiful, the fairies and elves belie such impressions. For anyone wishing to connect more fully with the angelic kingdom, this is a wonderful flower to learn to commune with. The fairies of Angelica strengthen the aura, and they bring good fortune and strong energy. They hold the knowledge of how to radiate more joy in all circumstances. They can reveal the nature and cause of problems in your life. They will stimulate intuition, and they will even leave the flower and follow individuals they are attracted to for brief periods, serving as friends and temporary guardians. Basil. The fairy spirit of Basil often shows itself in more of an elf form. It holds the knowledge of integrating sexuality and spirituality. Wherever basil grows, there is usually a dragon to be found in that same environment, serving as protector. It also draws dragons when burned as an incense. The fairies and spirits of basil help us awaken greater discipline and devotion. Black-eyed Susan. The fairy of this flower can become a wonderful catalyst for change. It often has tremendous insight into the emotional aspects of those who come in touch with it. It can help shed light on dark areas of the soul. These fairies can show how to make the proper changes. Buttercup. This flower fairy is so compassionate and so empathic toward humans that it will help you come to know your own special gifts and how to apply them in this lifetime. This flower and its fairies bring tremendous healing energies and great understanding of the human condition. Because of this, they are beneficial in helping us rediscover our self-worth. They can shed light on opening to new opportunities and new life directions. Carnation. The flower fairies of the carnation will take the color of the flower itself. They radiate strong feelings of deep love for humans. Their energy is healing to the entire body. Their fragrance and color are tools by which they provide their healings. Contact with them strengthens the aura and restores a love of self and life. Chrysanthemum. The flower fairies of mums easily touch the heart. They stimulate vitality, and they can help strengthen the overall life force of the individual. They hold knowledge of how to express one's life force more lovingly as a healing force. Clover. The fairies of clover often have an elfin quality about them. It is not unusual to find the occasional leprechaun somewhere in a field of clover. The clover fairies assist in finding love and fidelity. They can aid in developing psychic abilities. The clover fairies reveal themselves readily to individuals who display kindness toward nature. They often first show themselves through flickering lights around the clover itself. The fairies of white clover are most powerful and apparent around the time of the full moon. Ordinary water can become enchanted by infusing it with clover found at the favorite haunts of fairies. Washing the eyes with this water can awaken sight of the closest fairies. Coleus. The flower fairies of the Coleus have a strong effect upon our feminine energies. They can awaken the innate healing energies of the individual. They can stimulate visions of a new spiritual path, one that will enable you to draw upon your own beauty and power. The Coleus flower fairies reveal themselves most readily to those who have ties, real or symbolic, magical or mythical, to the Arthurian legends and the beings associated with it. Daffodil. The fairies of this flower can help us realize our own inner beauty. They are beneficial in teaching us how to achieve deeper levels of meditation, and they bring greater clarity of thought. These fairies always have a wonderful glow about them that causes us to see ourselves in a new light. Daisy. This flower draws all fairies, elves, and nature spirits. Where it is found, nature spirits, even those not associated with the flower, will also be found. It is one of the best flowers to work with to begin communion with the fairy kingdom, as its fairies have no fear of humans and are very open to contact. They stimulate great physical awareness of the presence of nature spirits. The daisy is a favorite flower of dryads, wood nymphs, and simply sitting among the flowers invites contact. Daisy fairies help awaken creativity and inner strength. Fairy lantern. The energies of the fairies around this flower are very strong. It is important when working with this flower to stay grounded, as you may find yourself becoming fairy charmed. They have a strong effect upon the imagination, and they are wonderful to work with for anyone wishing to reawaken or reconnect with the inner child. They awaken the feminine energies that are strong in all prepubescent children. They hold knowledge of reawakening and re-expression of sexual energies. Gardenia. Fairies of this flower hold knowledge of telepathy. They can help us increase telepathic abilities with all nature spirits. They stimulate feelings of peace, and occasionally the fairy spirit of this flower will follow individuals around for brief periods to raise the spirits and provide protection. These flower fairies are very protective toward children, and it is beneficial to have them growing in areas where children play. Geranium. The fairies and elves of this flower awaken a sense of happiness and stir the heart chakra. In most geranium beds will be found an elf who oversees the entire area. The fairies of this flower strengthen and vitalize the aura. They also can show you where you may be missing opportunities for happiness. Heather. In the bloom of the heather are fairies that have a unique ability to stimulate greater self-expression. They are especially drawn and open to those children and adults who are shy and introverted. They can facilitate outward expression and the manifesting of inner abilities. This is a bloom that seems to have a number of fairy spirits that oversee its growth, rather than just one. This may be due to the fact that it is sometimes considered a tree, although I have never seen a tree spirit with it. Only the flower fairies. Honeysuckle. The flower fairies and elves of honeysuckle are powerful. They hold much knowledge about aromatherapy, especially in overcoming the past. Contact with them often stimulates powerful dreams, and they awaken greater psychic energy. They can teach how to develop your own charms and glamour so that others are more drawn to you. Hyacinth. Attuning to the fairies of this fragrant flower is like attuning to a sweet song of youth, a song that restores belief that all is possible. These fairies hold many answers to the mysteries of death and burial, and they have an energy that can help overcome grief. Their energy awakens greater gentleness, and they can teach us how to use gentleness as a dynamic power. Iris. Iris was the Greek goddess of the rainbow, and the fairies of this flower manifest in all of the colors of the rainbow itself. These fairies can open the entire fairy realm to your vision. They stimulate great inspiration, creative expression, and psychic purity. They bring to the auric field a strong sense of peace and the hope for new birth. Jasmine. This flower was sacred in Persia. The fairies and spirits associated with it are both ancient and wise. The fairies of the individual flowers are linked to ancient devas, who oversaw the mystery schools of ancient Persia. They hold the key to using dreams for prophecy. They can help develop discrimination and mental clarity. When going through major transitions, one can do no better than to connect with the fairies of this flower. Lavender. As an herb, lavender has many healing and magical properties. Much of this is due to the strong activity of the fairies surrounding it. Wherever lavender grows, there will always be great fairy and elf activity, and not just associated with the plant itself. The fairies of lavender can help you open to a physical vision of nature spirits. One of the most powerful times to connect with them is on Midsummer Eve. The fairies of this flower and the other nature spirits it draws are very protective. There are many fairy tales about individuals who suffered cruel treatment by spouses, who, as a result, incurred some problems themselves. The fairies of lavender can bring healing and protection, and they can assist us in overcoming emotional blocks. Lilac. Although technically a tree, the blossoms of the lilac are filled with fairy and elf activity. The flower is very fragrant and powerful, and as you learn to attune to the nature spirits associated with it, you will find the fragrance also has a musical harmony to it. The fairies of this flower are musical in their communications. They can help harmonize our life and activate greater clairvoyance. They can also reveal your past lives and how they are harmonized with your present. Lily. The activity of the fairies of this flower are most powerfully connected during the winter, but especially at the winter solstice. This flower is a favorite of the nature spirits, probably because it has links to the Archangel Gabriel. These fairies can help connect you with the mysteries of new birth. They help in the development of purity and humility. Marigold. The fairies and nature spirits associated with this flower can help you develop clairaudience. You will find that as you begin attuning to them, you will actually start hearing them. They hold the mysteries and magic of thunderstorms. They also hold great knowledge of the power of words, especially when used in the healing process. They have knowledge of the mysteries of love and sacrifice. Orchid. Wherever orchids grow, you will find nature spirits, elves, fairies, and even some of the fantastic creatures and beings associated with the fairy realm. This flower was named for a nymph who was seduced by a satyr, and thus, this flower and its environment is often watched over by nymphs and/or satyrs. These spirits have a dynamic effect upon sexual energy, and they have knowledge of the spiritual aspects of sexuality, as well as techniques of sex magic. Their energy is strong, and it often affects the sexual drive. Phlox. The spirit of Phlox often takes the elf form, although there are many Phlox fairies. The elf spirit seems to be more of an overseer and guardian. This is not its only form, but it is the one that is most commonly experienced. The Phlox elf can help you awaken latent artistic energies, and it is not unusual to find them occasionally taking up residence in a house to assist in the development of skill or craftsmanship in some area. Attuning to the beings of this flower can assist you in becoming more productive in your life. Poppy. Used as a flower essence, it makes you more perceptive to encounters with the various beings of the fairy realm and facilitates visions of the subtle energies of life. Rose. one of the most sacred flowers. The fairies and spirits of it have strong ties to their elder brothers and sisters, the angels. Attuning to them can help you awaken a greater sense of love, as well as attunement to the angelic hierarchy. They can teach the crafts of telepathy and divination. They hold the secrets to time and its exploration. The Fairy of the White Rose can help us develop spiritual purity and awaken our own divinity. The Fairy of the Red Rose can assist us in all aspects of love and fertility. The Pink Rose Fairy can teach us how to blend the male and female for new birth. The Yellow Rose Fairy can teach us how to recognize and express truth. Rosemary. This herb has a long history associated with elves and fairies. Sprigs of it are hung on Christmas trees in England as an offering and expression of gratitude to the elves for their assistance throughout the year. The fairies and beings of the rosemary plant were often used to help combat any form of black magic or hatred. Their energy is very powerful and positive. They stimulate clarity of mind and creativity. They can also help teach and facilitate out-of-body experiences. Sage. The fairies and elves of Sage have great energy, and just being around the plant can induce light, altered states of consciousness. Attuning to them can help you facilitate mediumistic abilities. They have knowledge of how to slow the aging process, and they can awaken a newfound sense of immortality and wisdom in your life. They also stimulate an increased interest in spiritual matters. Snapdragon. As its name suggests, this plant and the environment in which it grows are often watched over by tiny, etheric dragons. The spirits of this flower have connections to the energies of all dragons. They can help you open the throat chakra, stimulating your own willpower and creative expression. They can help you develop clairaudience. It is not unusual for those who learn to attune to the snapdragon beings to begin hearing spirits with increasing frequency. These beings bring great protection. Thyme. When used as a bedtime fragrance, thyme draws the wee folk into your sleeping chambers. Tulip. Inside the cup of the tulip sits a beautiful flower fairy. This beautiful being awakens trust and helps to clear the mental faculties. These flower fairies can stimulate greater vision, and they hold knowledge of the hidden significance of events, people, and things. Violet. The violet is the flower of simplicity and modesty, two of the best qualities to develop in attuning to fairies and elves. The violet is sacred to all fairies, especially the fairy queen. Gathering the first violet in the spring invites the energy of luck and assistance of the fairy realm into your life for the fulfillment of a wish in the year ahead. The individual violet fairies can help you discern your relationship within groups. They awaken greater psychic sensitivity, and they often reveal themselves through dreams.
I wanted to stop there and see if anybody has any questions. I noticed, well, let me know, what are some of your favorite flowers? Did they cover any of the flowers that would be your favorite? I noticed that they didn't include the sunflowers. Sunflowers are my favorite, and so I was a little disappointed because, as you guys know, I have not read this book either. I am reading it right along with you guys. So let me know your thoughts. How are you doing so far? I just wanted to kind of, it looks like this is going to be a very short chapter today. So I wanted, before we start the meditation and the exercise, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions or comments. I have noticed too that we have quite a few scammers coming in and telling people to message them. They have a reading for them. That's bullshit. And if you choose to go ahead and message them, you do so at your own risk. Don't blame me, don't blame Shishi, and don't blame Mambo Tanya, because we have warned you. I have blocked them, and I have deleted their comments. Only get readings from people you trust and know. No one that has to go onto someone else's page and solicit for clients is worth a shit. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, Anna, I did. I blocked them motherfuckers, like 4 of them already. All right. So if nobody has any questions or comments, we'll go ahead and get started with the exercises and the meditation.
Exercise 1. Meeting the Flower Fairies. This meditation can be adapted and used to attune to all flower fairies. It can be performed outside in the midst of a flower bed, or it can be performed inside while holding an individual flower upon your lap. When I perform one of my workshops on fairies and elves, I bring to the class a dozen or so different kinds of fresh cut flowers, making sure I have enough for everyone in attendance. In this way, each can choose the flower he or she is drawn to, the one in which the flower fairy speaks the loudest. 1. Choose a time when you will not be disturbed. This exercise is most effective when performed outdoors, but it is not essential. When performed indoors, use a fresh cut flower and have it in your hand or on your lap. 2. You may wish to perform a progressive relaxation. You may also wish to use some music in the background. All fairies and elves are drawn to music. In the appendix are some pieces of music that are beneficial to drawing the fairies and elves out more effectively. You may simply want to use sound effects of the outdoors. 3. Take time to examine the flower. Become familiar with it. Take note of its color, stem, and shape. Touch its petals. Caress your cheek with it. How does it feel? Bring the flower up to your nose and inhale its fragrance. 4. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Allow yourself to relax. Bring the flower up to your nose and inhale its fragrance again, and then allow the flower to rest on your lap. As you focus on the fragrance, visualize yourself sitting in a beautiful garden. All around you are flowers and trees. The grass beneath you is soft and lush. The air is fresh and clean. The sunlight that penetrates the trees to touch this garden is soft and muted, casting the area in soft haze. You are relaxed and at peace. You know this place. You have seen it before. Maybe it was in your dreams, or maybe in a distant lifetime. It doesn't matter. Somehow you know that this is a place where you can go to heal and refresh yourself. It is a place where all worlds meet. In the distance is a high mountain and a path leading up to it. The path is lined with trees and stones of every color. On the opposite side of this garden is another path, leading from the garden to a valley below. As you look down this path, you see your present home. You understand that you are at an intersection of time and place. It is an inner sanctuary where the real and the imagined meet. It is a place of the finite and the infinite, the physical and the ethereal. It is then that you notice the flower on your lap. It seems to shine, and as you focus on it, a soft, pleasing sound is heard. It is as if there was a tiny voice singing. You bring the flower to your nose and inhale its fragrance, and it makes you lightheaded. You smile because it is so pleasant. As you gaze at the beauty of this flower, the petals begin to unfold. One by one, each petal unfolds, and as it does, the music grows more distinct. As the flower blossoms before your eyes, you see in its heart a soft ball of light, the color of the flower itself. Pastel and shimmering, it seems to float upon the flower petals. Then it shifts, changing forms before your eyes. As it does, you are filled with wonder. It almost seems to make your own heart sing. And then you hear your name whispered from that light, and it shimmers once more. Before you now lights a tiny, beautiful fairy. Its eyes are filled with joy and love, as if it had been waiting for you for a long time. As it shimmers and dances before you, you hear it singing within your own mind. Its voice is soft and has a musical quality to it. You are not sure how it is doing it, but you can hear its every thought. It laughs lightly at your amazement. Then it begins to speak. It tells you of its activity. It speaks of its purpose. It tells you what it will share with you if you work with nature. It tells you of the mystery of the flower and why this one is important to you now. You are filled with delight. And though a tiny being, its energy as it speaks in your mind sends shivers of delight throughout your body and soul. You gently hold out your hand, and it flies from the flower to your palm, showing you its trust. And then it returns to the flower again. It begins to shimmer and dance, becoming more vague. And you hear in your mind the promise. Next time, we will share more. Then, as the petals of the flower begin to fold up, the fairy becomes a soft ball of light within its heart. Though the flower has closed up, you can still hear its sweet song. You raise the flower to your nose and inhale its fragrance. You brush its petals lightly against your cheek. As you do, you notice the garden scene around you fading, becoming indistinct. Breathe deeply and feel yourself relaxed. You are sitting where you started, comfortable and peaceful. You remember all that you have experienced, and you now know why you were drawn to this flower. Slowly and gently, you open your eyes and gaze upon the flower in your lap. For perhaps the first time, you are truly aware of the life and energy within nature that surrounds you. 5. At this point, you might want to ground yourself by taking a walk in nature. You may wish to give thanks to the flower fairy for sharing with you. You may even wish to record what you experienced. One way of honoring this meeting and all meetings in the future is to plant some flowers or buy a plant that you can take care of in your home.
Wow, okay. So, what do you guys think? I thought it was very interesting. I still wish they would have said something about sunflowers, though. I could see like a sunflower's fairy being kind of like a phoenix or something, like a little tiny phoenix. That would be really cool. All right, so it looks like we're going to end early today. Next week, we're going to be talking about the touch of the tree spirits. So let me go ahead and, bookmark this page for next week. And I will delete that one. All right, so, oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I love this. I mean, it's, no purchase necessary. Let's just come hang out and read a chapter out of a book and talk about it. It's great. It's great communion. We get to hang out and share together. And I love that. I really do. I feel like you guys are my friends. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this because I forgot to let the dogs out before I started, so I need to get that done. But I will see you guys right back here. Like I said earlier, If you're watching on Facebook, I also have this on my YouTube channel, which is a brand new YouTube channel. So if you want to go there and subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be amazing. Watching on Facebook is fabulous as well. And let me see what else. Set a timer so that you'll be back here next Wednesday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. All right, guys, I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.